welcome back to Grappling in Thought. And today I want to talk about how we can make life less overwhelming and lighter, less stressful, less pressure. And it's all about curiosity. This is part 4 of the Curiosity series. And it's just curiosity, I think, is such a underrated skill to have or trait to have because when we're curious, it opens up the doors. It opens us up to wonder and possibility and exploration and what else and excitement. Curiosity is excitement and exploring. Often we end up assuming, and making assumptions just closes things down too. Just the past couple days, I had an assumption in my head, and it wasn't until last night I asked about it, and it really wasn't what I thought at all. And so for 2 days, I had this assumption, which when we have an assumption about someone or a situation that deals with someone else, we can get resentment can build up. We can get an attitude towards them and they have no clue what's going on. But it's because of the story we have in our head, right? The assumptions, we're assuming something's going on. And it's not until we can get curious that we can actually ask the question. Ask it with curiosity and not accusing, because that's the other thing. If we assume and then we ask, a lot of times it can come out more of an accusation than, hey, I'm thinking that this is going on in my head. I want to talk about it. And then just having that curiosity to ask. That's the big thing is like so often we're not curious enough to even ask because we jump immediately to judgment and assumptions. So we have to get curious enough to just ask the question, and not even just ask the question. Ask the question, try some new foods, say hi to that person, send that message, do something different, smile more, whatever it is. But it doesn't have to be anything big. It doesn't have to be huge action. Curiosity is in the everyday decisions we make, everyday choices of, oh, I wonder why I sit in the same seat every day for lunch. Why do I take this same route every day and I get the same meal, I get the same breakfast? Like these things that we just do every day. Do you ever stop and ask yourself, why do I do that? The same thing every day? A lot of times we don't. A lot of times it's just, we just are going through the motion and we're just doing it because that's what I do. But we never stop and really question ourselves. And the more I question myself, I learn way more about myself. Years ago, when I started doing more my own internal work on myself, and I started getting curious, it came from reflection. I started reflecting a lot, a lot. It started just on weekend mornings, and then it went to almost after every interaction. When I was in my car by myself, I was always reflecting on my place in whatever interaction I had or whatever the situation was. And a lot of times it was, why did I get upset when they said this? Why did I feel defensive? Why did that person annoy me? Why did I make that comment? Why did I behave like that? Why did I get an attitude? All these things that we do, and we don't question it. We don't look at, well, what's really behind that? Because often with the assumption or we put blame, it's because they did this. And it's not really looking at ourselves and understanding ourselves. So often not so often, always, we want people to understand us. But do we really understand ourselves? A lot of times, the way we understand ourselves is through judgment and critique. All of our faults, we understand those pretty clearly, right? But what about the whole picture? What about the why behind how we show up in life? The why behind our fears, our anger, our reactions, our love, our resistance to love, our curiosity or a rigidness. Like, what's really behind that? Where does that all come from? And that's what getting curious is about with yourself, is just understanding yourself more and more. And the more I do it, um, I learn, I'm always learning something about myself, because it's always a work in progress, I guess. I don't know if it'll ever end, but it's fun now. Curiosity is fun. When I reflect, I can look at those things and what was going on there? Oh, I was really tired, or yeah, I got really defensive. It's wasn't always fun in the beginning because it's brings up a lot of feelings, but you get to learn yourself. And when we can be curious, we're way more open. The curiosity opens everything up. It opens possibility of your future. We're not Who I am is not who I'm always going to be. It's not who I've always been. And who you are right now, how you feel right now, where you're at in your life, whatever the situation is, however you see yourself, it's not who you're going to be forever. In fact, you'll probably change 3 or 4 times in the year, if not more. And I feel like curiosity opens that possibility up, opens that um, possibility of a future. Like, if you ask, who could I be? Who can I be? Who do I want to be? What could my life look like? What's the life I want? And that I enjoy doing because I just let my mind go crazy. I mean, I'm on an acreage with land and farm animals and an amazing relationship and kids everywhere that I'm working with, and just animals, and I'm strong, and I'm who I want to be, who I'm working on trying to become. All the things that hold me back, I've worked through and I'm continuing to work through. And, this is just my daydream curiosity of who I could be and what life I could be living. It's fun because it's what if? What if that's real? What if I really could have that? And it lets you see past where you are currently, where you might feel stuck, or you have the idea that this is just who I am. I'm just shy. I'm just an introvert. I'm just whatever. It lets you see a possibility other than that because you're not stuck. And when we can get really curious with ourselves, we start to see that, and we can see other options, other possibilities. And then when you just get curious about life, um, how you show up, what life is like, other people, why people do the things they do, it lightens everything, because assumption closes everything down, judgment closes everything down. We're so yearning for connection, like real talk and real connection. But yet, if we judge and assume, that shuts it down. That shuts the connection down. And when we're resistant, that too, like if somebody's trying to connect with you and you get resistant because you're scared, that shuts that connection down too. And so that when you feel those things, you start, like, I start thinking, why did I do that? Why did I get defensive? Why did I get resistant there? Oh, because I was scared to get close. I was scared to share, but yet I want it. And it helps you navigate that, because then the next time you can, hopefully I'll catch myself and I'll be like, okay, I feel that fear coming in, but this is what I want. And so I can kind of navigate that and play with it and be like, all right, I'm open to this. I want this. I'm going to push myself through this. But when we're just do what we always do and we don't even think about it, you never get there. Everything's just shut down. That possibility isn't there. So get curious with just everything. There's no harm really that comes um, with curiosity. You learn something, and maybe it was, okay, that was silly. I didn't really learn anything. All right, no loss. You, like, say hi to that person, send that message, join the club, ask the question, join the group. I know it's scary, but that exploration is exciting too. Or like, Even as small as, because like I said, it's not anything big. So even as small as your drive to school or work, your walk to work or school or the bus stop or wherever you're going, try a different route. Try some new food. And it's it's exciting, which is fun. When my boyfriend and I go on just adventures or go for a drive, I always want him to drive because he'll just take random turns down a road. I always want to, but I never do it. I don't know why, because I love it when we do it. Most of the time, we're glad we did it. We find something interesting, even if it's a neighborhood with cool houses. We love driving through those. Sometimes it's really nothing at all, but it's fun and it's exciting because it's that what's around the corner? What is this? What's down here? We don't know where we're at. We're on a little adventure. And that's what you can kind of have fun with it. Be curious about everything in life. And anything you're interested in, dig into it. Be curious, because the one thing with curiosity I'll end with is it gives the freedom to not have to know all the answers. It gives the opportunity, almost permission, to wonder and to explore and look at different possibilities and different options. And well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And that mindset frees up the pressure to have to know it all or to have all the answers. Because I'm telling you, none of us have all the answers. I promise you, most people, actually, I would almost say everybody, is just figuring it out as they go, winging it. We really are. You look at other people and you think, oh, they got all their stuff together. They know what they're doing. They have a plan. They have this. They might, but they're still winging it through. Like they're still figuring it out as they go. And knowing that and then using curiosity allows that freedom to just not know and wonder and look at the possibilities and what if, or what could that be like, or what else could be happening here. Because sometimes we do that too. Like we get into the assumptions when it's really something totally different. And so just getting curious about what other options could be happening, what could be happening, what's another possibility, what's around this corner, what's around that corner, what about this, what about that, what if, and it just lightens everything. It lightens the mood. It brings in conversation and connection because you're like, oh, what about this? And that brings up a whole nother topic. Sometimes it leads here or there. And just asking the questions and being genuinely curious about everything. So I'm going to end with that. Stay curious and keep looking forward.